Hi everyone, my name is Rohan. I work in the business intelligence team at WeWork.
Hi, and I'm Brian, and I work on business intelligence at WeWork.
Brian and I wanted to speak to you guys about our experience with Looker over the past 1.5 to 2 years and how we dealt with massive scale at the company and the strategies that we came up with to deal with that situation. We hope that this is something that you guys can use in your work as well. So let's dive into it. I want to start by setting the stage for what BI looked like 2 years ago. So we had 2 developers, myself and Brian. We had around 1,000 active users of Looker. Every day we received around up to 10 requests for new accounts. And that itself is a huge drain on our time, especially when we had such a lack of capacity. We received even more feature requests and a lot of bug reports, none of which we were able to satisfactorily take care of. And so we decided that our mission would be, firstly, to improve our processes so that we could deliver more with less. We wanted to improve our users' experience on the platform because, let's face it, people were tired of not having their questions answered on time, even when they were the most basic of questions. And we wanted to build trust in our work because, as everyone in this room knows, if people don't trust your work, no matter how much time and effort you put into it, it is irrelevant.
So to accomplish our mission, we decided to develop solutions based on something we defined as the user flow in WeWork. The user flow being getting set up with a Looker account and using Looker. So we kind of separated it into 3 buckets, which we're going to talk about. The first being the first experience. So this is the user first receives a Looker account. The second one being the reporting experience. This is when our user inevitably will open their first dashboard. The third being user retention. So after that, we want them to trust the numbers. We want them to be happy with their experience and return to Looker. So let's talk about the first one. So I'm going to talk about the solution that we built for our users, and Rohan's going to dive a little bit into the back end of how we did it. Cool. So a year and a half ago, so before Rohan and I joined, and we had Looker, and I was a new WeWork employee, this is probably how I would request Looker. I would go into one login, and I would submit an HQIT ticket and ask for Looker. But what that person doesn't know is that the BI developers and our director are the Looker admins, and we're the only ones who can create accounts. So through this, IT department just wouldn't be able to help them, and we might lose a user right there. But at some point, they'll find out that they need to reach out to one of us. So what Rohan was saying when we first started, around maybe 5 to 10 times a day, we would get an email that looks like this. Hi, I'm so-and-so, I need a Looker account. And what Rohan and I would have to do is go into admin, go into users, and create a user and set them up with an account. And that's just not scalable for us. And so now we just have a Google form. They put in their first and their last name, they pick a team, and we automate the process, and Rohan's gonna dive into that a little bit later. But another step in this introduction is the email that they get. And so this is the Looker email that goes out when you create an account. It's kind of bland and generic. It doesn't really say much. It just says, hey, you have an account. Here's where you can go. Here's a link to Discourse, things like that. And when we were considering the user experience of this flow, we decided to step it up a little bit. And so we branded our own welcome email that also goes out to our users. Because there's so many users and because our team is so lean, we're not going to be able to meet all of them in person. And so with an email like this, it just lets them know that there's a team to support them. There are faces, there are real people here that can help them answer questions or set up Looker trainings and all these things, and links to relevant documentation within WeWork and not just like a link to the discourse. The third part about this introduction is the homepage. And so this is Looker's default homepage. It has your favorites, and it has dashboards suggested for you. And again, at a company at the size of WeWork, the suggested for you, sometimes the most popular dashboard is the sales dashboard, but maybe somebody on the community team might not care about that dashboard, and so they're not really getting fed relevant content here. So we actually designed our own homepage as well. So this is branded now. Again, it has our team, our faces, like we're here to support you, and most importantly, a list of references within WeWork that we set up that can really help set somebody up for success when they log into Looker, including an FAQ, like frequently asked questions, just specific to our instance that people might have trouble with. We had to create a service desk, so like Rohan was saying before, we would just get emails, and so Rohan and I set up a service desk where you can ask for questions about data, feature requests, and we linked it to our homepage directly. A bunch of relevant Slack channels because everyone in WeWork uses Slack, and most importantly, if somebody else on your team needs Looker, we have front and center the link to the Google form, so just send that over and they should be able to get set up.
So let's dive into the backend and talk about how account creation has been automated. So first step, the user fills out a Google form. That data flows into a Google Sheet, and we join that to some Workday data that we have about our users. So since the users are just employees at the company, we have all kinds of attributes about them in Workday, such as their role at the company and where they're located, and these things help us decide the correct roles and permissions for them. So we enrich the data they provide us in the Google Sheet with Workday, and then we leverage the Looker API. So we have the Python SDK for the Looker API set up, and that helps us automatically create their accounts with the appropriate permissions and roles. What this script also does is send them to our custom homepage and send out that welcome email to set them up for success and introduce them to our team. Another cool thing about this script is that it also takes care of disabling accounts automatically. And so in Workday, we know when an employee is not with the company anymore. And when you have an instance which has around 4,000 accounts, as we have today, it's impossible to keep track manually for our team. And so it's a really nice feature to maintain hygiene of our instance that this script takes care of disabling accounts automatically as well.
Cool. So the second step of the user flow that we were talking about is the reporting experience. And so at some point, that person is going to open their first dashboard. We want that experience of using and interacting with the dashboard to be as intuitive and user-friendly and impactful to that person as possible so that they will come back and use Looker. And so what we did is we kind of considered the user experience of a dashboard. And so what I'm going to do is show you an actual dashboard that we use at Looker before and an after and talk about what we did. So this is a dashboard called My Building Today. And this is for our office managers, or also called community managers, stationed at all of our buildings. We give them a Looker dashboard to be able to run their building more effectively and understand their KPIs. This is the old version of that. And so what they would have to do is open this dashboard up, go into their location. They have to type in their office name. Quick note here, if they type it in wrong and they don't know it's case sensitive and they click run, it has to match the name of the building in Redshift. And so they're not going to get any data. We could potentially lose a user here. They'll just think that Looker is broken. The other thing about this is that it's kind of just bland. They don't really know what is most important here. There's no indicators that lets them know what should I care about. There's nothing to give them some sort of action. It's just kind of a data dump of a couple of reports. And so this, after our PR team got a hold of it, is the new My Building Today dashboard. And you'll just see, it's just nicely designed. And there's a couple of things that I want to point out about this. A, your 5 KPIs that we want you to care about are all at the top. So we want you to care about these 5 things. And here's supporting reports under it. But a cool thing about this at the top, we created a kind of like a toolbar, just using a text box and using some HTML. See, these are links to other dashboards for their building related to sales, related to hospitality, that kind of fall within the same theme. That little Slack icon goes straight to our Slack channel if they have questions, and that little WeWork icon goes to an FAQ that describes specifically to this building, or to this dashboard, I mean, where the data sources are for the KPIs, what your directors probably want you to do with the KPIs if something is low and something is high. And something else that I wanted to touch upon quickly is the power of conditional formatting, especially for somebody who doesn't come from the data world. This report specifically is occupancy by floor. It just lets them know right now how filled are my floors. And so let's say I'm the office manager and a tour comes in looking for a new office. I can open this dashboard and immediately know if I have a big building, I should take them to the 4th floor because there's probably going to be some open offices there. I think the most important part about this dashboard, though, is that if I'm the office manager for building A, I open up my building today operations, and it automatically filters, and it knows what building I'm in, and it serves me my relevant content.
So how do we deliver the most relevant content to the user? We do this using a feature called user attributes. And so if you think about Looker users, we already have a bunch of information about them since they are employees of our company. And so through Workday, as I mentioned earlier, we can enrich their accounts with all kinds of attributes, such as the building they're located in, region, city, role, etc. And going back to the My Building Today dashboard example, for each community manager, we already have the data for the building that they're located in. And so we don't need to make them type in that information to access the relevant data for them. And so what we do is automatically filter those dashboards based on their user attribute, which is their building. And this prevents the need for different community managers to create copies of dashboards or to take that one extra step of typing in the building, which could lead to mistakes. And so this has helped us tremendously in delivering the correct content quickly. We also use user attributes for region restrictions and to restrict data correctly based on the situation. And that's something I can dive into if people are interested later on.
The last step that we considered is user retention. And so we talked about they opened their first dashboard, but we want them to return to Looker. Sometimes we lose a lot of users or they may not trust the platform. And one of the biggest issues with user retention that we wanted to tackle, which I'm sure everybody here has dealt with before, is speed. So in WeWork, we know this is really important. There are a couple of examples that I'm thinking of sales reps opening Looker to look at their percent to sales goal. And sometimes it takes 5 to 10 seconds to load. They want their data immediately. And so they'll open up Looker, it'll start spinning, and they'll immediately go to another tab. Do something else, and they'll forget that the report was even loading. There's instances where an analyst will bring into an executive meeting a Looker dashboard, and they'll start off, they'll open it up, they'll click run, and 5 seconds later, the executive doesn't care anymore and is moving on to something else. So speed is a huge problem that we wanted to tackle when talking about user retention.
And so one feature that helped us a lot with speed is data groups. And so we implemented these with a combination of modeling in Redshift as well as the data group feature in Looker. And so let me just dive into that a little bit. What data groups are is just instructions to Looker on when it should hit the database directly to serve data to the user and when it should hit cache and serve it more quickly to the user. And so if you look at this example, at the SQL trigger field, what we're saying here is that only when the max run at time from this particular table has changed, i.e. when there is new data in this table, then go directly to the database. Otherwise, if you have the results stored in cache already, serve the data from cache. And so similarly, we have a run at column in every table in our business layer in the data warehouse. And so we're able to model all our explores in this way so that Looker is hitting the database directly only when there is actually new data. And so we actually implemented this feature last year after Join. And we noticed that when we were trying this on the Marketing Explorer, there was a reduction of load times on average of 50%. And that made our users very happy. So to conclude, I want to talk about whether we accomplished our mission. So we said we wanted to improve our processes. Today, we have account creation automated, which I would have paid for a year ago. That was awesome for our capacity. We have a Jira help desk set up. We have Slack channels for effective communication with our stakeholders. In terms of delivering more with less, we now have a team of 10, and we serve 2,800 monthly active users. For user experience, we now have eliminated steps for people to access the relevant content for them. We have intuitive design for our dashboards so people can find actionable insights more easily. And we have much reduced load times as we've implemented data groups across our instance. And in terms of building trust in our work, we've been able to do that because we've automated so much and set up these good communication channels. That's helped us spend more time with our stakeholders, do more high-value tasks, and that has helped them trust us more and get to know us better. And hiring 7 more amazing people for our team has helped tremendously as well. So I'll conclude with that, and we have 5 minutes for any questions you want to ask us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.